Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Sunday. I have a very special guest star today. His name is Steve, and he is from the Everywhere with Steve Young 74 channel. He has a random channel. We have a lot of fun on there. I go on his channel every once in a while, but watch his stuff. It's all different, all good stuff. Without further ado, here is, let me bring him on. Steve, hang on. Hi, Steve. How you doing today?
Hey Jan, I'm good. How are you?
Thank you so much for being here.
Mhm.
Steve and myself, believe it or not, there was life before this platform. And because of a life on a different platform is one of the reasons Steve and I started talking to each other a little more because we had one thing in common and we were both resellers on another platform. We're going to talk about reselling today. Now, normally I would jump in with my happy tune, but I don't want to take a chance of technical problems and then you're sitting there and then there's a gap of time. I'm just not going to do that. Steve, I hope you don't mind about that. Is that all right by you?
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm good with
Great. I have
that.
a few little comments type question type thing. So I'm going to pull up some banners and Steve and I will get into it. So hang on, everybody. Just bear with me for banner number one. Steve, is it true or false? Can anyone do reselling?
Anybody can sell. You don't have to go to a yard sale or go to a dumpster and look for stuff. People don't realize your basement, your attic, your closet. There may be things lying around that you haven't used in 8 months to a year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years that has become of no importance to you that you could turn around, of course, do the research and see if you can locate one like what you have. That way, it gives you an idea of what to sell the item for. Because something that's of no importance to you could be worth millions or a lot to somebody else. So
You're
I
so
would
right.
say I would say just look around where you're at. You could probably conjure up 8 or 10 things to, you know, take off, you know, take off your around you to put some money in your pocket.
That's right. And this is the time of the year. It is spring. People are out there. They're going to garage sales. They're looking around extra. Maybe they want some outdoor furniture on the cheap. They don't want to spend a full price. They are
Mhm.
looking for people who are willing to sell. So I agree with you because you and I used to do the same type of stuff. And I'll get into that later on. All right. So, Steve, I have a question about startups. Okay. So, is it possible to start up with a zero cost? But I think that kind of piggybacks on your first answer in a great way. A person could literally just go watch their attic, their basement, their closet, and start at zero cost, right?
It is at zero cost because it's nothing out of pocket to you. If you go on, I'm not sponsoring them, but to give you a few ideas, Craigslist, OfferUp, I think there's one called Let Go, Facebook Marketplace. There are avenues that you can go, start up an account. If you're able to describe the item, pick a price once you know what to sell it for, and you're able to take pictures and upload pictures, you've pretty much got it. You can start small, but that also depends on what your definition of small is. What,
True. Good
you know,
point, Steve. That's true.
because one of my first items was not a small item. Um, I don't remember exactly what my first item was that I ever sold, um, and it was online. But I don't use this particular platform anymore because of, they do charge you fees and so on and so on. And it's one that you're familiar with too.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but I wound up selling a Akai reel to reel tape deck. I sold it, and I did okay on it. Um, Looking back, should I have probably kept it a few years and maybe sold it, you know, 5, 7, 8 years down the road, or maybe even now? Yeah, possibly I could have made half again on it, but I'm not complaining because at the time I did pretty good, because I look at it this way: if I have money tied up in something, and if I can at least bare minimum double my money on it, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds good
but
to me.
you're right. But there are times, depending, because the cost of things do tend to appreciate, there are things that go up. Now, if you can double, say half again your money, or even triple, even better still. But again, it really does depend on the item. Something that's small to me might be huge to you. That's really.
It's the truth. And like sometimes people say, I remember this because you and I was a power seller on eBay. And anybody that
Right.
did eBay would know what power seller meant.
I
Back in,
do.
you're right. You and I, we were like, we call it the Wild West days
The
of
Wild West. Yeah. Hmm. It
because
was.
everything was so new. I mean, it was like really new at that time.
Hmm.
And later on, I'll talk about the first item I sold. I had a 100% positive feedback. I sold over 400 items over time. I love reselling. Reselling is a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
should go back to it. I should go back to it. All right. So here's the next kind of sort of question for you. How much can one make doing this, Steve?
Mm, well, that actually depends on you as the seller. The sky's the limit is one way of looking at it, but it really it really depends on what you're selling too, because you know if you make if you make decent enough on, say, one or two items, you can pretty much stop and call it, and that be it. But it really, there's no real definite answer to that, because it's what you make of it. um
I
you know
agree with you. It also depends on the individual transaction. You may have to negotiate a little bit. We'll get into that in a minute, but I agree with you a lot. Let's see. Here's one that I think scares some people off. Do you need a large workspace to get started? What do you think about that, Steve?
no, because when I started, and of course my dad was around too, um I just used the dining room table in the kitchen. If you got a dining room table that sits about four, maybe six, you've got plenty enough workspace. There's enough space to put your box, your packing tape, your bubble wrap, whatever, what it takes to pack up your items. There's plenty of workspace there to work with. It's what you make of it, but you do not, and I repeat, you do not need a large workspace. But those that have a garage, or a big opening to where you can do that, definitely make use of it. But no, no, you don't. I'm telling you that firsthand. All I had was a dining room table.
100% agree. When I was in another unit in another location, what I did was that I had like a wall built to separate my office life from every other part of my life. So I wanted like a totally separated, was like between my dining room and at a wall built in between. And I had my door, and I just like shut off the world, and it wasn't like a lot of space. I think if the space was like, if I recall, like maybe about 10 feet, 10 by 8 or whatever it was, or 11, whatever it was, you can make the most of it. You just
Hmm.
make the most of it. I have my shelving, I have my desk. And I'm telling you, this topic really requires, in my opinion, a couple of shows. I mean, I would be so willing if you and I want to discuss this further on your
Hmm.
channel in the future one day. That would be
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Okay, so here's an important one, Steve. Anything that a newbie to reselling should they watch out for?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. All right. For one, if you put something up for sale online and you go to sell it, try to see, for one, make sure if you can meet like a halfway place away from where you live. Don't invite strangers in, because then they start seeing what you have in your home. When they see what you have, one mouth tells another mouth, and then when you're not around, your house gets cleaned out. Now you've been robbed. I don't trust, and being a victim of that one time, you pretty much learn that. But not only that, be careful of the method of payment you accept. Do not, and I repeat, do not accept a personal check. Once upon a time, I've got a very fast story. My dad sold a TV, $50. The guy decided to write a check on a closed bank account. Well, that was okay. My dad just took it down to the state's attorney's office, processed it, and the next thing we know, a little while down the road, maybe 3 weeks, a month down the road, the guy comes back over and tries to make amends with my dad, and my dad says, "No, I'm not going to do it. If you have anything to say, talk to the state's attorney's office." Well, what wound up happening is that $50 TV, I don't remember the exact story because this was back in the late 90s, about 97. That TV wound up costing him anywhere between 150 to 200, and that he claimed the TV quit working, which was not the case because the TV worked with us. That was sort of a lie.
Your dad would never sell
No,
it.
but because of the guy's stupidity writing that check, it wound up costing him triple, quadruple more than what it should have. It was a waste on his part to
Oh
do.
yeah, that person had everything standing too. So unfortunately, there are some people with bad intentions. Unfortunately, as they
Mhm.
call them, bad actors. It's just there are some people, like that. The other thing is, if a person does, I just want to throw my 2 cents on some experiences, like with Craigslist. I would only accept a cash transaction. I
Same here.
make abundantly clear in every ad. This is a cash transaction
Transaction.
only. No
Right.
checks, no money orders. That's it. And but this is funny, Steve. If you ever want to empty out a house or apartment without you doing all the work, just write an ad on Craigslist. Keep the item outside. Say it's for free. They'll be jumping at you for a second, running away and taking the
They
stuff and
will.
clearing out
Yeah.
your stuff.
Oh yeah. No, no, no. That they will. Right. I would only accept cash payment. No,
Excuse me.
no personal. Well, back then, all you really had to work with was no personal check. You didn't have PayPal. You didn't have Chime. You didn't have Venmo and little avenues like that you could make payment. You didn't have it. The only other thing you had at the time, but this is a local transaction, um, but no, stick with your cash money. Make sure you put that and put it in bold print. Cash transaction only. That's it. You don't know, because, like I say, back then you didn't have these other avenues and methods of way to pay like you
Right. We did the Wild West. Although Steve and I, of course, doing eBay in the beginning time, we were like one of the first types of people to get PayPal, merchant account,
do.
PayPal.
Yep.
We're talking about like what, 20 years ago? I mean, a very long time ago this was.
20, in my case, this was probably 22, 23.
Yeah, me too. It was
Yeah,
quite a while. It was like forever ago.
right.
And the pictures were unstable. It wasn't so simple. The reason why I decided to change gears on not using that specific platform, because things have changed on there. It's like a little more complicated. But I'll tell you one thing, Steve, there is, as you know yourself, there is a strategy. If anybody's working the eBay, they know the strategy is the best time to list, the best time to end your auctions, this, that, and the other. It's really strategic, like anything else. It's strategic.
Yeah. The only thing I'll do now when it comes to eBay is I'm strictly a buyer. I won't sell. I'll just, if I haven't bought anything in a while, but that's the only thing I'm going to use that platform for, is just purchasing.
Yeah.
But right, I I've had PayPal in forever and a day as well,
Right.
probably since, but I don't really use it though. But
Yeah, so
I
many
have
fees.
it.
I
I mean, I
know.
have it, and one of the things I can do too is, if I wanted to sell something, I said, to show my level of integrity in case somebody's a little bit apprehensive about buying from me, I would write, to show my integrity, please go to eBay and look up the username, and I would give it. And I think I've got about 245, maybe 250 all positive
Yeah.
feedbacks.
Yeah, you're another one with the
Right.
all positive. You get what you give and you give what you get. But I did learn a lot of things from that reselling experience, Steve. I also I learned something, and this is off grid selling. A lot of people I'm just going to give anybody a hint. If you know anyone that wants to get rid of a refrigerator, offer to sell it for them. Use refrigerators that work. Go like hotcakes. I
Yeah.
need it to this day, even though I was doing that more often than not 10 years back, even to this day, because I have friends who say, Jan, that trend has not changed for some reason or another. Well, for some reason. The reason is that a real brand new refrigerator is like ridiculous in price.
Yeah.
If it's perfunctory, my favorite word, if it's functional and does the job, I mean, really, people are willing.
Well, a refrigerator, no matter how you slice, dice, chop, cover, no matter how you, that's always going to be a necessity in life. I don't care who you are. That's always going to be the number one appliance. The next one in line, I would think, would maybe be a stove, would be
Yeah.
next.
Yeah, I think so too. Yes.
Yeah, but then again, also you've got other avenues that you could use to prepare food.
Wait, don't get into it, Steve, because you don't know this. You, unbeknownst to you, I recorded a show for next week talking about alternatives for when you don't have a fully functional
Oh,
kitchen.
did you?
I
Okay.
can't believe that you mentioned it.
You know what?
That's
Once,
wonderful.
if I think back, not that I'm trying to, burn out your thunder.
No, no, you're not burning it out. We did a show like that together.
So you remember, right? I was about to, yes, I was about to mention that maybe a couple of years back. It's on my side, I think, my channel.
Yes.
You
Yes.
and I
Oh,
had
yeah.
done,
Go check that out. I think we discussed it on Steve's
we
channel
did.
together. Check out that video for sure.
We
Really.
had done a video along the lines of the one you have coming up of ways to prepare food or whatnot when you don't have a stove. Do
Right.
you have to have a stove to prepare it? No, you don't. Um, these days, I don't want to get into the exact appliances, but I can name two right off the top of my head that will allow you to prepare food a different way. But I'm not gonna mention it. But they're
No, Steve, if you want to mention one, please be. You are my guest
okay.
here, so go ahead.
Well, I'll mention both. One is a microwave for those that have one. Second, air fryer.
Do you like your air fryer? I mean,
Yes, I do.
you got yours. What about 3 years back? Was it three,
Well,
4?
in September, I've had it 3.
Wow, wow! How the time goes by.
Or was it 4? I can't remember.
I know
But I've
it's been a while.
yeah, but down the road, not right now, what I have is good. Down the road, I may consider getting a second air fryer,
Yes,
maybe
yes.
something a little bigger. Yeah.
That's wonderful, Steve. Actually, a relative of mine has a spare air fryer, and that relative is literally going to be bringing it to me next week. There's nothing wrong with the one I have. There's nothing wrong with the one that person has. They just have like no space. And that person
Um,
was like, "Would you like to?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." I always like to keep a backup of something I like, so I have
mhm.
no problem with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Hmm.
And Steve, I always forget about microwave. I didn't even mention microwave on the upcoming show. So thank you for
Yeah.
bringing it up. I
Oh, yeah.
appreciate it.
Mhm.
I have a pop question for Steve. Steve, what was the very first item that I sold on eBay? Do you remember it?
I think so because I had the same thing. If in fact, I don't know how my parents come across it. I don't know if it was yard sale or somebody threw it away. I can't recall. Was it that? Was it that fish that the tail flaps?
Billy,
Billy Bass.
Billy
Billy Bass.
Bass. I
Um,
said, I'm going to put this on for fun. It was in my closet. It was gifted to me. And there's nothing wrong with Billy Bass, but it's just not quite Janet. So anyway, I said, what would be a good introductory thing to sell on that platform. I said, nobody's going to want it. Nobody. Wrong. And like they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Treasure
It
in
sold very quickly. Get a load of this, Steve. I said, who on planet Earth would want this? Okay. And it turns out a man that owned a tackle and fishing
that would
store,
work. Yep.
and he put it up. He took a picture, he put it up on the wall, sent it to me.
Actually, believe it or not, the little catchphrases when you push the button and the tail would flap and it would talk to you with a little voice.
Oh yeah, that's a nice
Um,
feature.
some of the phrases that come out of the fish's mouth kind of has that tackle shop feel to it. So I could definitely see where that would come
But
in
Steve,
very
do I look like a Billy Bass tackle fish person? I bet that
no.
person got it and didn't like it and rewrapped and regifted it.
Um, actually, believe it or not, I thought it was cute. My dad thought it was cute. My mom thought it was cute. But now my dad used to like to fish. But you know what? You don't have to necessarily be a tackle shop person
Right.
or somebody who likes to fish to have a little
There's nothing
novelty.
wrong with that product. It's
It's not.
just so anti-Jan.
Yeah,
I don't fish. I don't eat really fish.
fish,
I'm
right.
like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just not for me. Clearly, that person was either cleaning out their closet, but I don't care because it brought me good luck. That was my first sale, and there were 399 ones to follow. They were all successful. But you want to know what I really, really loved selling the most, Steve? Honestly, and I don't mean to hold you up, but
Mm-mm.
I was really into the drop shipping game. Tap,
Shipping,
tap,
yep.
click, click, right?
That's a good thing to get into. You make the money, but you don't have to worry about doing the packing and the shipping. They do it.
Yes,
I
just
know how
the
that is.
least favorite thing that I couldn't stand was the shipping fast. And when I was doing the shipping, then I ended up like selling things, for example, that were like paper, lightweight, not living in the post office every minute.
Yeah.
That's the part I kind of like dreaded. So when I got into the listen to me, shop dripping, I was going to say that's terrible. Drop shipping.
Shipping. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Definitely need caffeine. Steve, I want to thank you so much for being here. Is there
Mhm.
anything else that you would like to add?
No, not really. It just goes any look, anybody can get into selling an item. If you can take pictures, if you can look up the item before you sell it to get an idea of what to sell it for. Remember, it's all I would say start a little high when you put your price down. Remember, you can come down, but you can't go up. But you also don't want to get lowballed and ripped off. So be careful. Know what you have. Look up the item on eBay. You go into the completed item section, get a visual. But if you can take pictures and if you're able to describe it, you can sell the item.
And as a side hustle, your parents, as a side hustle, did flea marketing. Like that was like their like thing they would do it,
They
right?
actually, to me, I think it was more than a side hustle. Um,
Okay.
oh no, because when they would go to the flea market, they would go Saturday and Sunday. They used to do,
Oh, they
de-
were serious sellers at the flea markets. They
yeah,
regularly.
they did decently well. No,
Wow.
they would bring in a few $100s over that weekend.
Amazing.
Yeah,
So this is kind of in your, a little bit like in your DNA. You witnessed all that growing up.
I
Like,
did it. Well, I saw it. I would say, well, I haven't been in the retail. They say the flea market is not considered retail. That's a lie. Why? Because you see all different walks of life. If it involves a customer and a seller, it's considered, and you're selling a product, it's
right.
considered retail.
Well, that's
Well,
old hat thinking, those people that said it like that to you, because some people only think retail is brick and mortar. We
no,
have evolved greatly since brick and mortar days. I mean, even the biggest giants are like not necessarily brick and mortar anymore. But believe you me, that's another show. Steve, I want to thank you so much for being here.
mhm,
I would like to
yeah,
ask everyone to do two things, maybe three. One, head over to the Everywhere with Steve Young 74 channel and watch his good random stuff. It's fun. I go on his channel usually about once a week, not always, but usually about once a week.
Mhm.
But go there for his other stuff, not, not just because it's like following that. The other thing is please click like to help out my channel. My channel needs to grow. I have a goal. I have a desire. I want to hit 5,000 subs. When I'm done with 5,000, anything else is yay. There's just something magical about the number five for me. Five always was my lucky number, right, Steve?
Mhm.
Okay, there
Yeah.
you go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate your time. Don't forget to check out Steve's channel. Have an amazing, fantastic day. Let us know in the comments section below what you think about reselling, and have you ever resold anything? Let us know. Take good care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.